Good tackle, Eli. Got it. Nice. Good boys.
We're here at Cox's Bay Reserve in Auckland, where Ponsonby Rugby Club's junior teams are training ahead of their games on the weekend. And I'm here to meet Sandra Ioane. Now, Sandra's been running the junior club here for years. She played for the Black Ferns, her husband played for Auckland and Samoa, and her two sons, you might have heard of them, Rico and Akira Ioane, have come right through the system to play for the All Blacks. You would struggle to find someone with a better understanding of the game at all levels in New Zealand than her.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
Catch ya.
Okay, bye. So we've got 45 junior teams.
Yeah.
So that equates to about 600 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're way down on our numbers. We're about 250, 280 kids down this year.
This year alone?
This year alone, so.
Wow. Sandra says they're losing kids to other sports, especially basketball and football. But she says there's one other big reason why fewer kids are staying in the game.
I think once they get to that tackle age group, under 8s, yeah, there's a big drop off there.
Nice. He's out.
What are parents saying to you?
A lot of parents don't want their child to be tackling.
Yeah.
You know, it's all this. And because there's so much information at the moment about concussion, and as a parent, I can understand, you get a bit concerned.
Straight and hard, Jim. Straight and hard, Jim.
You obviously played for the Black Ferns, and we had a wonderful year for the Black Ferns last year.
Yes.
A great moment for women's rugby here in New Zealand.
Yes.
Have you seen the impact of that yet? How many girls' teams have you got here at Ponsonby?
I'll be honest, we're struggling to field a 23 on a Saturday.
Wow.
We have had for a number of years development side or tennis side women. Just the other day we just had to contact the ARU and tell them that we're going to pull the plug on that. We just can't get the numbers.
Are you sensing that there is going to be at least a rise in girls playing rugby here at Ponsonby?
No.
The uncertainty doesn't end there. With the drop in player numbers, even a great club like Ponsonby is growing increasingly concerned about its future.
I don't know how many times it's been brought up in the committee about, is Ponsonby Rugby still going to be around? You know, like we've been here since 1874. Are we still going to be around in 5-10 years' time? We don't know.
And if a club like Ponsonby needs help.
Well, that's right. A lot of clubs out there must be struggling.
How do you think New Zealanders feel about rugby?
Oh,
Do we love it as much as we used to?
the whole aura of the All Blacks or rugby in general, I think that's waning a bit. Look, you go into schools and you see so many kids wearing NRL shorts, and you know, you walk around the malls and everyone's got some sort of apparel of NRL.
There's something happening there, isn't
Yeah,
there?
there's
Those
something.
competitions are engaging with that level of fan.
Yeah.
Why aren't they wearing blue shirts?
Or when you go to a Blues game, everybody should be in the Blues outfit, but they're not. So, I don't know. I haven't got. That's a $64,000 question, isn't it? So I haven't got the answer. I wish I could. But then I wouldn't be working for Ponsonby, I'll be working for the NZR.
So Janelle, what have we got here?
So what we've got are some instrumented mouth guards. So this is what they look like. Kind of looks like your standard mouth guard. We'll boil it for 20 seconds. But what's kind of cool about these, they've actually got a bunch of cool sports tech in here. So similar to your watch or your phone that might have an accelerometer that tells us how fast you're running. This one will actually tell us how fast your head is moving during rugby.
Janelle is researching concussion in rugby using these mouth guards to measure head knocks and whiplash. She's used them on 700 players from 28 teams, running from under 13s to Premier level. And I'm her newest recruit. Treat me like any other athlete.
Close your lip over the front. How's that feeling? Can you talk okay?
I can talk okay.
Yeah, can you say, hi, my name is?
Hi, my name is Paddy.
Yeah, perfect.
So the data from here will go and you'll be able to see it there.
Yeah, so it's all connected kind of via Bluetooth wireless. So we can kind of be getting live impact readings of head acceleration events.
It's time to test this thing out. You're going to have to put a hit on me, Reggie. Yeah. With former Hurricane prop, Reggie Goods. Should I use one of these, do you think?
Turn around.
Oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that. Yeah. And I better chuck this on so that we can get the data. Is that a warm-up? I'm pretty sure there was head acceleration there. Oh. Good tackle, Reggie.
Thank you. I missed it.
Reggie played for the Canes for 6 years, but after one too many head knocks, was forced to retire at the age of 26. So how many times were you concussed when you were playing?
On my professional record, I think it's about 13 or 14 times.
What were the symptoms after that?
Headaches, you just don't feel yourself. But then you also get to a stage of, are you ever going to feel yourself again?
Do you worry about what's coming in the future after all those head knocks?
Actually, don't. Not that, just, you don't know. Like, there's no point of me sitting here day by day for years and years worrying about something that might not happen.
Time to find out if those tackles did any damage to me. Okay, so what does that sort of show me on there? If you just take me through that.
Yeah, you bet. So for every head acceleration event, you get kind of two numbers that come out of this. So the one is the linear acceleration.
Yes.
That's that green number, that's 11 Gs.
11G.
Yeah.
So how does that 11G nudge from Reggie, what does that sort of compare with, do you think?
Yeah, I guess for kind of everyday activities, if you were on a roller coaster, your stomach kind of drops. So that would be in the 5 to 10 G range. If you were jumping on a trampoline, you'd start to get above 10.
Reggie's tackle wasn't that big after all, according to this.
Correct.
Yeah, I sort of wanted to make it sound big, but the facts are Reggie's tackle was not that big.
Yeah.
This mouthguard research is already changing the game.
So I guess from some of the initial analysis, we've seen some differences in terms of tackle height, and it really seems that tackling at that waist are better outcomes for the tackler and the ball carrier.
So your data's already seen that this new rule of going below the sternum effectively is a good idea for concussion.
Yeah.
Okay, and ultimately, do you think rugby is safe to play in terms of concussion?
I think there are risks in anything that we do. When we look at kind of our our under 13s and our small blacks and the ACC data that we do have, the overall injury rate is quite low.
Righto, William Webb Ellis first picked up the ball and ran with it, and how good was that? The code of sport called rugby union began. Boom, a new game came to New Zealand and it meant unity. The All Blacks started with the originals, then there were these fellas, the Invincibles. There were things like desert games played by soldiers in World War II, and of course the mighty Ranfurly Shield. There was division though, the Springbok Tour in 1981, but that meant redemption with the 1987 Rugby World Cup. And talking about momentous, Paddy Gower starts playing, and coach brother William Harnett said I was never far from the ball, which means I never actually touched it. Now, passion though, I had plenty of passion, and I would watch Kieran Colt Crowley up at Rugby Park in New Plymouth punting a wet leather Adidas ball so waterlogged it weighed 18 kilograms, but bang! It sounded like a shotgun going off when he punted it. History now. The 24th of August, 1996, and Taranaki won the Ranfurly Shield, the game's highest point by far. Higher even than this guy, Jonah. Jonah. And rugby goes professional. Super rugby, that is. Not so super for the provincial game, but super enough to stick around all this time. Now, the future. Last year, the Black Ferns had an absolute banger. We loved the game more than ever before. Yeah, that's the history though, and another cheer of love and rugby within 60 seconds.
Who's going to win?
Blues all day.
Okay, Blues all day. The Matthias family love the Blues. Mum Claire brings her boys Rico and Nate along to Eden Park to watch the team whenever she can. Rico's favourite player is his namesake, Rieko Ioane. Nate normally backs the Blues, but tonight he's behind the Hurricanes and his hero, Ardie Savea.
Coming to the game is definitely like next level from sitting watching at home on the couch. Just the atmosphere at the games, hearing the crowd, like you feel like you're part of it.
I'm sure you will have noticed that the crowds aren't quite what they used to be.
Yeah.
What do you think that's about?
Maybe there's a misperception around, you know, how much it costs to go to a game and stuff. Depending on where you sit, a lot of the times kids are free to take. So it's actually can be quite a cheap experience and a really fun, good night out.
It's funny because there's a lot of sentiment out there at the moment that some people think that Kiwis are falling out of love with rugby. What would you say to that?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. We're down at the club, like at our local rugby club, every Saturday. Yeah, there's a lot of passion out there for rugby.
All right, well, we'll keep a special eye on Ardie for you tonight and Rieko for you.
Yeah.
So let's hope one of them at least scores a try, eh?
Yeah,
I'll be looking out for you two.
He's done well to Leah, look out. Anything can happen there. He goes right up the middle. Oh, he's unbelievable. Pass away to Roygaard. That's a beauty from the Hurricanes.
As the second half gets underway, I head up to meet Blues CEO Andrew Hoare. He knows there's a problem, but isn't convinced Kiwis have fallen out of love with the game.
We're definitely not dead, and people still love our sport. It's just a matter of making it relevant.
People will hear you say that, and they'll say, well, why is it not dead? You give me the facts. What are the facts?
The
Tell
facts
us.
are broadcast is up this year. We can't explain the percentage, but it's a significant percentage. We know that our digital reach is up, you know, with well over 20%. So people are following. They're there. It's getting them back to the ground.
How do we fix that? How do we get more people along to the games?
This sport needs to be treated like any other world-class international competition and actually having people working on it all the time. Working out what the fan wants, making it far more fan-centric, doesn't take a lot, and then you start to get the tribalism building again and people travelling, which is fantastic.
Heem goes hard, he goes straight, he goes through, and he's got it away to Rieko Ioane. That's huge. That might just be the winner for the Blues.
Hey guys, how are we? Hey brother, what's your name, man? Rieko as well. All good, brother? You good?
He loves you, don't you know?
Thanks for supporting me, my man. You know what? Stuff like that. Can you help my jersey? Here we go.
Thank you.
What a cool night at the rugby, eh?
Best night ever. Best day ever.
Good stuff, hey. You're around places like this all the time. You're on sidelines, you're at games. What are Kiwis saying to you about where the game is at in New Zealand in 2023?
Well, look, I guess there are a range of views, aren't there? And it's different to what it was in the past. The game's definitely got some issues, but the game is still, you know, really strong in terms of its connection to people's hearts and minds.
But you will, I'm sure, be reading some of the stuff that is on social media. It feels like, to a degree, rugby's lost the narrative. So how do you get that back?
Challenging sometimes, isn't it, when there's a huge amount of scrutiny and people setting out, you know, different stalls on their views of the game to maybe break through that. The establishment of the Super Rugby Commission is a really important step in this. If you have an organisation focused 365 days a year, 24/7, and at what can be better about Super Rugby, we're sure that will make a big difference in the game.
Let's talk about the Super Rugby Commission. What's holding it up?
Well, there's some work, as we've said, we're in a JV partnership with our friends from Australia, and they've had, you know, some things to work through in their own space around getting to this.
How friendly are they?
No, look, we have a really great relationship. It's a unique relationship at times. So there seems to be a really good acceptance which we've got to get on as it relates to the Commission and get it stood up quickly.
I'll be direct about this. I've spoken to a few of your stakeholders, and they cannot stop talking about Hamish McLennan. That this man is holding up the process and he's strangling Super Rugby out of self-interest. What would you say about that?
I've got no doubt there's some frustrated stakeholders around the game. I know that I'm hearing it directly, obviously, and I'm frustrated myself at times.
Why are you being so patient with him?
Well, we believe we need this competition to be a great competition.
Do you need Australia?
At this time we think we do, yeah.
Fans are sending a pretty clear message in New Zealand through their attendance that they don't care much for Australian teams in this competition. Why are you being patient? Do we really need Rugby Australia? Why do we need Rugby Australia?
They're a traditionally very strong rugby country. For long periods of time they've sat in the top few teams in the world. They've gone through an incredibly challenging last few years, there's no doubt about that. The overarching question will be, is 5 teams the right amount of teams for them to have? And that's again a question for them and the competition as it stands up and runs. History would show they're a stronger union when they have less than that, but that's ultimately a decision for them, and it's something we'll work more on, when we get the commission up and running to look at.
What levers can you pull to make this a more even competition? Whether it's a draft system, a salary cap, a transfer system, which is going to mean a change to Super Rugby as we know it.
I think there'll be more and more work as the Commission stands up to investigate those areas with urgency. What I'd say is we're incredibly open-minded to all these possibilities. Nothing is off the table as it relates to the way we're viewing the future of the competition.
Can you see a situation in the not too distant future where you might allow our leading players to represent other Super Rugby teams, whether it be in Australia or Fiji and Royal or Moana Pacifica, and still be eligible to play for the All Blacks?
We're incredibly open to it, and we acknowledge it would create, greater degree of interest, and is something that we should be moving towards quite quickly.
Do you think Hurricanes fans, for example, would be prepared to see Ardie Savea representing an Australian team? Or we can pick any example, really, can't we?
Well, I'm not going to speak. The Hurricanes fans might not feel that great about it, but certainly fans around the rest of the competition would probably think, wow, that's really interesting. And at some stage, it might be the right thing for Ardie or someone else across, our leading player group to think about in terms of wanting to freshen up in another city across Australasia or the Pacific. So yes, we acknowledge that that could be really interesting, both for the fan and the player.
Just to wrap things up, this program has had a key question at the heart of it. Are Kiwis falling out of love with rugby?
No. The game is different, but people are still connected to it. We've had absolute proof that when good things happen in the game, it brings people together. When more challenging things happen in the game, it creates conversations and polarisation like we don't see across our communities. And if people didn't care about the game and think deeply about it and want it to be great, they wouldn't be having those conversations.
Well done, Gordy. Now, I should have known that a bloody Aussie would be behind a lot of the problems, but seriously, some big hints there from Mark Robertson about some major changes. And I, for one, am looking forward to the day when Ardie Savea is playing for the Brumbies and that bloody try would have been allowed and Karen's issue would have been solved.
Too right. And I think fans are going to love that idea, aren't they? Hey, now, guys, there is one more part of that interview that I wanted to share with you because I think it really shows that there is still a lot of love, a lot of passion for the sport right at the very top level. Now, at the very end of my chat with Mark Robinson, who, remember, used to play for the All Blacks, we threw him a couple of quick-fire questions. It was all pretty fun until we got to question number 3. Take a look. Who's the better winger, Ruby Tui or Jonah Lomu?
Oh, that's an unfair question.
That's a complex question, isn't it?
It is, That's not a quick fire question either. Look, Jonah changed the game. Jonah was, and I'm a little bit biased here. As much as I love Ruby, I played with Jonah. He was the guy I roomed with in my first All Black Assembly camp, when Smithy was coaching for that matter. He provided one of the biggest avenues and platforms into the game going professional. He really transformed the sport, so it's hard to go past Jonah. I mean, he made it relevant in Asia and in the United States and in parts of the world it could never dream being relevant. So.
Sorry, mate. Didn't realise it's.
Oh no, we miss him, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you need a minute?
No. It might pay to take one.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realise that question would set you off like that.
No, I didn't know. I was just thinking of him.
Yeah, he was huge for the game, wasn't he?
Yeah.